What Happened Was, authored by KJ52, narrated by KJ52. Introduction. The intro and conclusion are going to be the only two things I'm actually going to write in this book. Now you may be saying, hold up, how's he saying this is the only thing he's going to write? Aren't I about to read a book written by KJ? The truth is, writing is super hard for me. My brain moves at a pace that typing just can't catch up to. You can blame it on a short attention span or a fast-moving brain, I don't know, but I'm a chronic overthinker/overanalyzer. My brain, plus communication process, it's wired towards a live crowd. I need to see faces. I need to see whether or not the whole thing is connecting. I need to know if it's working. And there's probably some deep-seated need for attention there that some therapy session would reveal. Anyway, writing doesn't come easy for me because there's no immediate feedback. I have no idea, or even if the content is working. You may say, well, how's that possible when you've written songs for 25 plus years? Great question. Songwriting is just a whole nother skill set. And it's also a skill set where I can have bad grammar, run-on sentences, typos, slurred words, and much more in my lyrics, and nobody bats an eye, especially in hip-hop. This is why it's taken me so long to do a book. This has been on the docket for a very long time. I can talk all day. Talking has never been a problem. But you drop me in front of a laptop and say type, and I'm in Struggleville. Years of frustration and starting and stopping just helped me to finally figure out how to crack the code. You want to know how I did it? Well, it started with a conversation with a longtime friend. I told him, tell me some stuff you remember from way back when. What are some stories that ring true in your mind? One conversation turned into another, and they all seemed to start with the phrase, what happened was. I started compiling all these stories into a journal. Every time I'd come up with one, I'd jot it down until I had pages and pages of what happened was type stories. Then I sent them off to the homie Justin Serchik, and I just sent him a list of story titles. I said, listen, based on what you see, tell me which one of these titles makes you intrigued. And then he'd pick the stories. We'd hop on the phone, and I'd tell him the story while I was standing in front of a microphone recording the audio. I told you I need an audience. Suddenly, the whole thing became the easiest creative endeavor I had ever done. Then I would take the audio, transcribe it to text, and then I'd send it off to another homie, Andrew Schwab, who would then re-edit it into a readable format. He'd then send it back, and I'd do a final edit. And this is after running the story by, anyone that might be in the story to make sure it was accurate. And that's what you're about to read. This book should feel like a conversation between me and you because that's literally what it is. It's not a tell-all gossip book. My only two requirements of any story that I included was, is it positive, and does it have a resolution? This book is a testament to what God can do with a misfit. I hope you have as much enjoyment reading it as I did writing it. Love you guys. Jonah. Chapter 1. How I got my name. My name has been a point of contention for me for most of my life. By the time I reached junior high, my insecurity about it reached an apex, mainly because people couldn't pronounce it correctly. People call me Joanna, Joshua, Johan, Johan. You get the point. When I became a Christian, kids would tease me and call me Jehovah. When you're a teenager, you just want to fit in. And if you have an odd first name, most kids have the option to fall back on their middle name. In my case, I didn't have this option because my middle name is Kirsten, which is a girl's name. Yeah. My full name is Jonah Kirsten Carlin Sorrentino, so I had zero options. I had a Hebrew name, Scottish name, Sicilian name, or a girl's name to pick from. It was just the worst possible scenario you can imagine when you hit a time where you really don't want to stand out. My whole entire life, I never met another person named Jonah. People would make references to the story in the Old Testament. And to be honest, that's the only Bible story I really ever knew because I didn't grow up in a church-based home. To give you some further context for this story, I should mention, my home wasn't very conventional. I called my parents by their first name probably up till about 10 years ago. I was raised to call them by their first names because my parents wanted us to be on equal footing. I didn't know any different. I grew up thinking everybody did that. I found out years later my mom almost named me Sky. Her side of the family was very much into boating, sailing, the like, stuff like that. My dad's side of the family is from Jersey. Both my parents were artistic people. They couldn't agree on a name for me, and so up to the moment when I was born, they hadn't landed on a name. And
Sample complete. Ready to continue?